The airport doors slid open into the cool evening air, but nothing could have prepared me for what waited beyond them. I had returned from overseas 2 weeks earlier than anyone expected, carrying a suitcase filled with gifts and a heart full of plans. I imagined surprising my roommate with a laugh, ordering our favorite takeout, and picking up life exactly where we had left it. Instead, the moment she saw me standing at the end of the hallway outside our apartment, she dropped everything in her hands, sprinted toward me with tears streaming down her face, threw herself into my arms, and held on so tightly that it felt as though letting go would make the whole world fall apart. In that silent embrace, I realized that my early return had arrived at exactly the moment someone needed it most. If you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to Kindness Corner for more emotional stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be. Before taking the overseas contract, I had worried about leaving my apartment and my closest friend behind. Emma had been more than a roommate for 3 years. We had survived unpaid bills, broken heaters, late-night exams, job interviews, and countless ordinary days that somehow became unforgettable simply because we faced them together. She insisted everything would be fine while I was away. We promised weekly video calls, exchanged silly photos, and counted down the months until I returned. The job was supposed to secure my future, help pay off old debts, and finally give me a fresh start. What I didn't know was that while I was working long shifts in another country, Emma's life was quietly falling apart. The first few weeks abroad were exciting, but they soon became exhausting. Long hours blended together, homesickness settled into every evening, and I missed the familiar comfort of home more than I expected. One afternoon my project manager unexpectedly announced that our contract had finished ahead of schedule. Most of my co-workers planned vacations before returning home, but something inside me urged me to catch the earliest flight instead. I couldn't explain why. It felt less like a decision and more like an invisible hand gently pulling me home. Standing inside our apartment after Emma finally loosened her grip, I immediately noticed the changes. The cheerful decorations she loved had disappeared. The kitchen was almost empty except for a loaf of bread and instant noodles. Unopened letters covered the dining table. She smiled because she didn't want me to worry, but the exhaustion in her eyes told a completely different story. She had lost her job months earlier when the company downsized. She had hidden the truth because she didn't want me distracted while working overseas. She sold furniture to keep paying rent, skipped meals to save money, and spent every day searching for work while pretending during our video calls that everything was perfectly normal. Learning how much she had carried alone filled me with guilt. I kept wondering how I had failed to notice the signs hidden behind carefully chosen camera angles and practiced smiles. But regret couldn't change the past. What mattered was what we did next. The savings I brought home weren't enough to solve everything, yet they bought us something even more valuable: time. We caught up on overdue bills, filled the refrigerator again, and began planning instead of simply surviving. The following weeks were far from easy. Emma attended interview after interview, often returning disappointed but refusing to give up. I found temporary work while waiting for a permanent position, determined that neither of us would face another uncertain month alone. Every evening we shared simple dinners, encouraged each other through setbacks, and slowly rebuilt the hope that had almost disappeared. It amazed me how quickly laughter returned to our apartment once fear stopped controlling every decision. The place itself hadn't changed, but the feeling inside it had. One rainy afternoon everything shifted. Emma received a phone call offering her a position at a nonprofit organization that helped struggling families find housing and employment. The salary wasn't extraordinary, but the work gave her purpose she had never experienced before. Watching her leave for her first day with genuine excitement instead of anxiety reminded me that success isn't always measured by money. Sometimes it's measured by waking up believing tomorrow can be better than yesterday. Around the same time, I accepted an offer from a local engineering company. It wasn't as glamorous as working overseas, but it allowed me to stay close to the people who mattered. We celebrated our new beginnings with inexpensive pizza eaten on the apartment floor because we still hadn't replaced all the furniture we had sold. Somehow that meal tasted better than any expensive dinner I had enjoyed abroad. We weren't celebrating wealth. We were celebrating survival. Months later, while cleaning an old closet, Emma admitted that on the morning I unexpectedly came home, she had planned to move out because she believed she had become a burden. She had packed most of her belongings and convinced herself everyone would be better off without her. Seeing me standing outside the apartment had shattered every lonely thought she had carried. My unexpected return reminded her that she wasn't abandoned, forgotten, or facing life alone. Sometimes the greatest miracle isn't solving someone's problems. Sometimes it's simply arriving before they lose hope. If this story has touched your heart so far, please write the word hope in the comments below. Your comment may encourage someone else who desperately needs to believe that brighter days are still ahead. Life rarely follows the schedule we create. Flights change. Plans collapse. Opportunities appear without warning. Looking back, I no longer see my early return as luck or coincidence. I see it as one of those rare moments when kindness arrived exactly on time. We often imagine that changing someone's life requires extraordinary wealth or impossible sacrifices, but sometimes all it takes is showing up, listening without judgment, refusing to walk away, and reminding another person that they don't have to carry their burdens alone. The hug Emma gave me that evening lasted only a few moments, yet it changed both of our lives forever. It taught me that home is never just a place waiting at the end of a journey. Home is the person who still believes you're worth holding on to when everything else seems to be falling apart. If this story moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner so together we can continue spreading kindness, hope, and second chances, one story at a time.